Hi, this is Nathaly with Unicorn Properties. Today we are in Lisbon with an agent from Italy. So,
Hey, what's
double
up?
here. What city are you from?
I am actually from Idaho, in
Okay.
Rexburg, but I'm coming to Portugal from Milan area in Italy because that's where I've been living for the last 10 years.
That's so exotic.
Yeah.
I love Italy.
Yeah.
I'm so curious to learn more about the real estate market over there. I mean, we know Italy is beautiful, but it's so big. You know, they have a lot of types of properties, types of scenes, you know, geographical differences. So in your market, can you share a little bit more about the buying process? How does it work for an international buyer?
Yeah, for sure. I should elaborate that I am an agent with EXP in the United States, so I work with agents in Italy. So um, when you want to buy something in Italy, there's a bunch of different markets to choose from. So it really kind of depends. If you've seen anything about Italy, you might have heard of One Euro Homes. There's auctions. There's kind of the traditional real estate market with real estate agents. If you're going through the real estate agent path, let's use that as an example. It's pretty.
Is there another path?
Yeah, I mean, you can go through the auctions, which are
Okay.
not real estate agency supported, but you'll find consulting companies that support you. There's also the One Euro Homes, which are usually community based,
Okay, okay.
right? And sometimes they'll get a real estate agent involved, but usually it's like just a transaction through the community. Those ones are a little bit few and far between, depends on the community.
Okay.
So the process is pretty much the same across the world, probably. In this case, you'd start with your typical research. You can find online portals. We don't have an MLS like the United States and Canada. We do have like portals like Immobiliare.it and Idealista, which is also in Spain. So using those, you can see listings, for example, but usually you want to make sure the next step is to communicate with an agent and get to know them before you say, hey, I want this house,
Okay, okay.
right? You need to know a little bit about the agency. Like there are some reputable ones, like there are Remax and Engelvolkers and various other larger real estate agencies, but you'll also find Technocasa, which is probably not in your country. Also some others, I will not mention them all, but they are also reputable. Then there's other kind of smaller agencies that are more independent. We have a lot of independent agencies out there, some franchises, some independent. So you do want to make sure to understand what kind of service they're providing. But as far as the actual process of purchasing a home, you select the home, you'll do like a preliminary contract, which will usually have like a down payment.
Okay.
And that down payment is kind of a big deal because there's a law that states that whatever I put down, if one person decides to back out, they lose money, right? So for example, as the buyer, I could lose my deposit if I don't have it within the contract that I'm backing out for these reasons, potentially, just like in the US. But in this case, like if the seller decides to back out, they actually give you your deposit back and the amount back, right? So there are ways around it for sure, but in the end, that's kind of like what the law is based on, having this like once that contract is kind of decided upon and the deposit's put down, someone could lose money if it's not within the contract to get out in some way.
And be aware, attorneys are used for transactions over there, or is not the notary?
So it's not a legal requirement to use an attorney, but most people, especially in the luxury category, will definitely get a lawyer involved, an attorney involved. But the notary in Italy is a public figure and has a lot of power, basically, to do the whole transaction even without a lawyer. So you could go through that whole process without a lawyer or attorney involved. And it ends up being official.
Yeah. So yeah, notaries are very big in Mexico as well, and they're necessary for a transaction. Attorneys are optional, but we recommend them because it's for the best protection of the client. So they don't have to take our word as a, you know, they have to validate. We always say, even you can trust me, but you still get an attorney.
And officially, that's like the last step because they'll take it to what's called a rogito, which is a head of the notary. Well, they have to read you the actual purchase deed and you sign it. And if you don't speak Italian, there's some processes you can follow to save a bit of money and all, but you either have to have it read to you in English, or you have to have someone that understands.
Okay.
So
That's very
anyway,
important.
but it's in front of that notary.
Okay. So with the closing process, are there any risks you should, make people aware? Like before you buy in Italy, avoid this, and that. What would be like the common errors, mistakes, risks in general that you see?
For sure. So the first potential problem you'll run into is ads that aren't actually active, or like people just trying to gain attention, and you'll see a house you like and then they'll just say, oh, that's not available, but we have others. So that's not a problem, but in the end it's a marketing tactic, I guess.
Yep.
When it comes down to purchasing something, there will be actual agents out there that will say, this property has a toilet there and it shouldn't be. So when they come and inspect it, just put a box on top of the toilet, right? Hide the toilet, because that's not supposed to be there. So that's buying something that's out of conformity, and you will run into even real estate agents that don't care about that conformity issue, because technically they're not supposed to sell it until they've fixed the problem.
Okay.
And the way to fix the problem is by getting a geometra, which is a surveyor, or an architect to actually create the plan of the house as it is, or to take that toilet out and sell it as it's supposed to be.
Oh, interesting. It's a random toilet that you just should have.
It's just I'm sharing an actual real case scenario that I've run into.
That's very interesting, yeah.
What has to happen is that there's a map inside the community's database, and it shows this is where the stairs are, here's where this is, and they're not always extremely detailed, but if the window is slightly to the left and it doesn't match that, then
something was modified.
Later on someone could end up paying extra because of
fine. So that would be, the fine will go on the buyer's side?
It's in whoever's name it's inside. For example, when it's caught. Does that make sense? So before it's sold, it'll be the seller's responsibility. If it wasn't caught and then maybe a year or two later you try to sell it and it was caught at that point, then it's your problem.
Okay.
So
interesting.
The majority of people are probably trying to fix the problem originally, but money is money, and money sometimes controls decisions, and there will be sellers and even agents that will say, don't worry about that, we'll sell it anyway, and that just ends up becoming your problem as the buyer.
Opens a can of worms.
Yeah.
After. So whoever gets stuck with a hot potato.
Hot potato, that's a good actually analogy for this.
There it goes. Nice in your hands.
So
on your name.
Unfortunately, the notary is supposed to also have a little bit of control over not stopping that purchase process, but if it's not caught, then they're not going to go to the house to inspect personally. They do have an inspector that goes, but if that inspector misses it,
then it's on the next
life
person.
goes on.
Yeah.
Hot potato.
Hot potato. So for tips, I think I've heard many people that are trying or seeing if they have a Italian background for citizenship in Italy to be able to move there. Some Americans have heard that they want to do that. Is there any tips that you have, before you come to Italy, either become a resident citizen or just what would be the process that you would be like before you leave where you are, do this one thing or?
Well, the very first thing
payments.
to consider is that when you're on vacation, it's different than living somewhere full time.
True.
And I think you've run into that. You've seen it before. I know you live in 2 different locations, right?
Yeah.
I would advise people to spend a few months in the area they're going to purchase before they purchase. It kind of depends if they're a risk taker or not, but you might actually fall in love as a vacationer, and then you get there and you're there for 6 months or a year, and you realize that things shut down in the non-touristic season, or because especially near the beaches in Italy, in the south, which is very attractive, there will be entire businesses that they're shut down, and there'll be one market left or one this left in that community.
It's like tax season. Everything is open for 3 months and they're closed.
Yeah. So that's definitely a reality in the southern regions. The more north you go a little bit, it changes. There's more economy, there's more services that are a little bit more dependable, like buses and health and everything like that. Now I'm kind of getting off track of potentially what the question was. But
Just kind of a tips before you go. But that's a great one. Then move there first, rent something, get the feel for it, and then make the big decision of like, this is my place that I would like to live. You know.
because most people fall in love on that
Yes.
vacation. Like, this place is amazing.
Yes,
that
yes.
house is for sale. It's
Yeah.
got a great price. I'm gonna
think
buy
I do
it,
that.
even if that was like double price because you didn't know the market, right?
Yeah.
So doing some due diligence on knowing the market is very important because it's common that the prices are a little bit less negotiable during tourism season.
Okay.
And then when the tourists go away, like there's a little bit more
Inflates a little bit.
room to play with.
So I'm sure that you can help clients with comparables and seasonal prices as an expert that you
We've
are.
got some websites that we use to track some data points. They're I think limited compared to the United States, but we do have some things for things like short-term rentals and growth of communities. Yeah, we've got that kind of stuff too.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. It's like, I feel like we're talking about a similar country. When it comes to
think the
Mexico,
world
we
is
encounter
pretty
similar issues. I haven't get to the box in the toilet yet, but we have hot potatoes probably too. Nice. So yeah, thank you so much for your time, Davo. It was nice getting to know more about Italy. I've been there as a tourist, but I've never been there like for an extended period of time.
Did you ever want to buy something once you saw it? I'm just curious.
Maybe, because I feel like the cities I've been in, the big ones, but I haven't been in the south yet. So
okay.
I want to fall in love with the wineries and stuff. I haven't been
It's
there yet.
beautiful. I love Puglia, I love Sicily, I love Calabria, but they all have different reasons of living and not living there. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. Well, if you're curious about Italy and all the offers that has, all the beauty in there, there's so much history. I feel like it's way like an older, type of community. It's been there forever. It's like the Roman Empire, right?
Yeah, it's a different market, that's for sure.
That's amazing. It's like so much history, so much to do probably, and now just make sure that you're always protected when you go talk to an expert, and just be aware of all the risks too that come with it. So yeah, thank you so much. We learn a little bit more about Italy every single day as we talk more about this topic.
Yeah, well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, I'll see you guys around. His info is going to be in the description below to make sure you can contact him directly too, and also the social media links.
Awesome. See you.
See ya. Bye.